going on, guys? I'm Corey English, and this is my current skate setup, the USD Aeon 60, or at least for now. I do have some new skates coming on the way, should be here in about a week or so, but the one thing that will be coming with me from these skates to the new ones are my Intuition V2 liners. I wanted to talk a minute about these liners and why I love them so much, to clear up some of the mixed messages out there about these liners. Now, I've had my Intuition liners for about a year now, and I absolutely love them. I've never skated anything like them. So when I saw Lawrence from Back to Blading give up on his recently, after about, I think 5 or 6 sessions now he's had on them, it left me like... The problems and the concerns that Lawrence is having with these liners are very legitimate. I think a lot of skaters are going to run into the same exact issues that he is running into, especially if you're the type of skater who only gets out 1 to 2 hours once a week, maybe even less. These probably aren't going to be the liners for you. But he has over 9,000 subscribers. Over 9,000! And I think a lot of those skaters are going to skate more than that. And if you skate at least 2 hours at a time for 2 to 3 times a week, the break-in period on these isn't going to be prohibitive, and they could potentially be the liner for you. Now, when I was looking into purchasing these about a year ago, I did a bunch of research online, and typically I came across 2 completely different messages about these liners. One of them was that they're the most comfortable thing that anyone has ever skated, the best liner on the market, blah blah blah. And then the other side saying there's no way they're worth the money, $200 is way too much money for a liner that isn't comfortable right out of the box, and there are things on the market that are just as good for half the price. Save your money. When it comes to these liners being the most comfortable thing that you've ever stuck your foot in, I think there's a lot that gets lost in translation about what type of comfort that means. The best way I can try to compare it is, I know when rollerbladers hear the word comfort, they think of like the old school Cyrus 1 liners, the puffy Jug and Civica liners of the past, something that feels like a cloud wrapped around your foot. I'd compare that to like riding in a Cadillac, and that's what people expect when they hear comfort. But with the Intuition liners, this is a performance type of liner. It's much stiffer, it's more supportive. It's going to be more like a race car seat where it is going to lock your body in place. You're going to have a lot of support, you're going to feel everything that's going on, you're going to get a lot more response out of your skate, and it's not going to be miserable to have your foot in it while you do it. It will be comfortable, but not that puffy, foot wrapped in a cloud feeling that people think of when they hear about a comfortable liner. And then the second thing people talk about is that they're way too much money, they're not worth it, they take too long to break in. And while yes, these do take an exceptionally long amount of time to break in, I actually sized down. My foot's a 268, and I ride the small liner, which is recommended up to a 265. So mine took a little bit longer to break in. I was more in the 15 to 20 hours of break-in time, even with heat molding and skating in the heat. But now that mine are broken in, I love them, and they did stretch to fit my foot, so you can downsize within reason in these things. But as far as if they're worth the money, I've never had anything that is this responsive. I've had comfortable liners. I have Rain V3s that I ride on my free skates, and they're great liners. They're great liners. But they are not going to provide the type of response and the type of support that these do. Now, with the break-in period and it being worth it, you're talking about, on average, about a 10-hour break-in period, but these liners are going to last. I mean, there's people that are 5 years or more, going 6-7 years now on the same liner. That's thousands of hours of skating. So to put in 10 hours of break-in time, that's less than 1% of the life of the liner, where your typical more comfortable liners that are going to break in within 30 minutes to an hour, I mean, you're lucky if you get a year or maybe a little more out of those liners before they completely pack down or the material starts ripping and they basically become useless. So yeah, you could buy a pair of Rains or whatever for 80 to 90 bucks, about a little less than half the price of these, but the life of that liner is also only maybe a quarter of the life of this liner. So as far as if they're worth the money, these things are absolutely worth the money if you want a liner that is going to provide as much response out of your boot and as much support as possible. Alright y'all, that's going to do it for me today. Awesome little session. Wound up fighting some tricks that I can normally do no problem, but still wound up getting some fun little lines in. Thanks to Sam for coming out. And yeah, if you're in the market for intuition liners, just know that you will have to deal with quite the break-in period. But once you're through it, they are worth the money. They will last you a very long time, and they're going to provide better performance and support than you've had with any other liner. But if you don't want to deal with that, and you want something that's comfortable right off the bat, and you don't necessarily want a lot of support and a liner, but you're more focused on comfort, maybe look into something like a MyFit or a Rain liner. But yeah, it's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Bye.